If you read any of my books, you know that I believe that there is no diet or supplement that is right for every person because we all process foods differently. All of our bodies operate in a different manner. And an even greater confirmation that we all have a unique bio-individuality is that everyone shouldn't even drink more water like they're always telling us to do. They're always trying to cram more water down our gullet. In the description below this video, we'll put a link for our Who Should Drink Less Water video so you can check that out if needed. But in this video, we're going to talk about two scenarios where someone really should be drinking more water. Let's jump in.
TC Hale is not a doctor and does not claim to be a doctor or licensed in any type of medical field. Don't be an idiot and use anything heard on the show as medical advice. This information should be used for educational purposes only, and you should contact your doctor for any medical advice. Now get off me.
So instead of going by the 8 glasses per day rule or that whole half your body weight in ounces ignorance that kind of goes around, we like to see people look at their blood pressure to get insights into how much water they should be drinking. So we like to see people look at their resting blood pressure at least 2 hours after a meal, but it shouldn't be first thing in the morning while you're fasted. It should be after a meal. But just look at that systolic number, that top number. And if that number is higher than like 130 or 135, that can be an indication that you may need to drink more water. Our blood pressure is kind of made up by the level of minerals and protein a little bit and even sugar and filth that's in the bloodstream. And those things have the ability to thicken up the blood and raise the pressure needed to push that blood through the system. So it's most common when someone has high blood pressure to either see a lot of filth in there or a lot of minerals that are not being excreted correctly. And a lot of times those minerals are not being excreted because the person's not drinking enough water. And keep in mind that coffee is not water, soda is not water, water is water. So in a lot of cases, the person just needs to drink more water to help the body excrete those minerals and other junk the way that it's supposed to. Now, increasing water can't always help the body get rid of a lot more toxins and some of that filth. A lot of times there are scenarios that the body has some malfunctions where it can't detox the way that it should, and all those toxins are thickening up the blood. So we'll put a link to our video for 3 causes for high blood pressure in the description, and you'll want to check that out to see if any of those issues may be making your blood pressure go high. Now, the caveat is, I don't want you to look at your blood pressure and be like, oh, it's 120/80, it's perfect, but you're on like 4 different blood pressure lowering medications. Now, if you're on all those blood pressure lowering medications, you don't really have low blood pressure, do you? The blood pressure medications don't do anything to actually correct the underlying causes of high blood pressure. They just force that number down so that you don't have a heart attack or a stroke kind of situation. But you still want to correct the actual underlying cause. So a person with low blood pressure, because they're on all these blood pressure lowering medications, wouldn't really want to reduce their water intake because they probably actually need more water. But I will say this, if you're on blood pressure lowering medications and you start to increase your water intake, you really want to watch your blood pressure. If you're going to bring in more water and help your blood pressure come down naturally, the blood pressure medication is still going to push it down further. And that number could go even too low and start creating the type of symptoms that we see with low blood pressure, things like dizzy spells and cravings and depression. So if you're going to take these steps, you really want to watch your blood pressure, and if it goes too low, you need to work with your doctor to maybe lower the dose or change your medication regimen so your blood pressure isn't going too low. I'm not telling you to do that. You really need to do that with your doctor. I'm just telling you it's worth monitoring your blood pressure if you're going to start to increase the water intake and you're on blood pressure lowering medications. The next scenario where someone may want to increase their water intake is if they're dealing with chronic constipation. But this can be a little bit of a tricky situation. There's a variety of causes for constipation, but one of those causes is that there's not enough water going to the bowels and the bowels are becoming too hard and too difficult to move. But there's an imbalance that we call an anabolic imbalance that can just cause the body to send too much of its water to the kidneys and not enough to the bowels. So maybe the person is drinking enough water, but the body's sending that water to the wrong place. So if you feel like, oh, I'm drinking enough water, but I kind of have to pee all the time. I get up 3 or 4 times in the middle of the night, I have to pee even. So a lot of times, that's an anabolic imbalance pushing too much of that water to the wrong place. So if you think that might be an issue for you, we'll put a link in the description below this video for our Understanding an Anabolic Imbalance video. And if you are constipated, we'll also put a link to our Understanding Constipation video so you can see if maybe there's other underlying causes that may be causing your constipation. It's just important to understand that with constipation, getting more water to go to the bowels can often help it move easier, and in a lot of scenarios, that means the person needs to drink more water. But with this whole water thing, you can get a blood pressure cuff at a pharmacy for $30 or $40 and just monitor your blood pressure. And maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks, you just kind of check in and see where you are. And if it's going too high, maybe you need to start drinking a little bit more water. And if you already know your blood pressure is high, jump over and watch our video on 3 causes for high blood pressure. Let us know how it goes.